Cenk, Uygur, Kasparian. I mean, look, I'm not saying I'm back, but here I am. I'm not saying that people are saying, hey, man, you look good coming back from Turkey. I mean, is the word sexy being used? I don't know.
No,
I don't know.
Definitely not. No one has used that word. I can confirm it.
Yeah, I hear the chitter chatter out there. Look, I'm not saying it. I hear other people saying it. My job's to report the news.
I haven't heard other people say it.
I'm hearing it all over the internet.
You're crazy.
Okay. I'm pleading guilty to being too good looking. Look, I'm not saying it. People are saying it on the internet. It's echoing everywhere.
Oh my gosh.
All right. Anyways, I missed you guys. I love you guys. Let's do a fun show. I mean, let's rate a couple of residents and see what happens.
Oh my God.
Let's take some right-wing tears and drink it up because there's a lot of right-wing tears today.
There's a lot of melting down taking place today. Yeah.
Yummy. Let's do it.
All right. Well, we begin with, of course, the FBI raid into Mar-a-Lago. Let's do it.
They went after him. They went after all of us. There's no family in American history that has taken more arrows in the back than the Trump family every single time.
Poor Trump family. Now, Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago was raided by the FBI. His residence at Mar-a-Lago, specifically in Palm Beach, and this was following the FBI obtaining what's referred to as a warrant, which needs to be signed by a federal judge. And in order to get that warrant, there needs to be probable cause presented to the judge doing the signing of the warrant. So this was not some unilateral Biden politically motivated investigation. It was an investigation, according to what the authorities are telling us, into Trump's massive mistake in taking home classified documents from the White House. He is not supposed to do that. That breaks certain laws. And so this investigation is ongoing. I'm going to speculate here that there might be more to the investigation than what federal officials are leading on. We'll get to that in just a moment, but first the details. Sources told ABC News the search warrant was related to 15 boxes of documents Trump took from the White House to Mar-a-Lago Resort following the end of his presidency. During the FBI search Monday morning, the agency was verifying that no other documents were still at the resort after the National Archives retrieved the documents in February. Now, right-wingers have been losing their minds over this because they're arguing, well, I mean, they had already gone to Mar-a-Lago in February. They had already gotten their hands on those 15 boxes of documents. Why did they have to do this? Well, there was, according to the authorities, some suspicion that Trump had additional documents that he was not being forthright about. And so they conducted this raid to see if those documents existed. And to be clear, back in February, the National Archives asked the Department of Justice to investigate whether Trump had broken the law when he took those classified documents home with him. There's something known as the Presidential Records Act, and that requires the president to leave these classified documents and all these documents in the White House to be archived. Now, what is that act? In the 1970s, the Presidential Records Act requires presidents and White House staff to preserve official documents and communications, including gifts received in office, letters, emails, text messages, and social media posts, and turn those items over to the archives at the end of a presidential term. And by the way, in the spring, according to sources who spoke to the press, a small team of agents went to Mar-a-Lago inquiring about the documents he took with him. The agents went through and reviewed some documents with Trump's attorneys present. Trump himself was also present. Now, when it came to this raid, which occurred yesterday, Trump was not there. He was actually in New York at the time. And a senior official briefed on Monday's events told ABC News that the Secret Service was notified by the FBI a short time before the agents arrived that they would be coming. So there was some notice. It's not like this was a surprise. The Secret Service validated the search warrant and facilitated entry into the residence in accordance with a court order, the official said. Secret Service agents were not involved in the search. Now, why would they need to do this raid? Well, Trump is known to destroy documents. You have individuals who worked in his administration who had said as much. Just recently, Maggie Haberman over at the New York Times had provided evidence of documents that were put in the toilet, which she held on to until she was ready to promote her upcoming book, which is par for the course with the Washington elite. It's incredibly frustrating, but that's what's going on here. There's a person, former president, who clearly broke the law, and he's being investigated for it. And I wish that we applied this standard to everyone in positions of power.
Yeah, so look, let's talk about what it is and what it isn't. So the right wing instantly says, oh, it's to target him politically, and they have all sorts of kooky theories that we'll get to later in the show. But they never say like, oh no, it's okay to take documents and rip them up. Well, why are you taking any documents from the White House? It's not a thing you should be allowed to do, and you're not allowed to do it. It's against the law. So why are you hiding them in the basement of Mar-a-Lago? And then when the FBI looks at them, some of the documents are ripped. Is it like, oh, I didn't like that risotto recipe, rip, okay? And the FBI is raiding his house because where's the carbonara recipe, okay? You weren't supposed to take that from the White House. Oh, you took a couple of antique plates. No, it's obviously very, very serious. Otherwise, the FBI is not going to raid the house of a former president. Our government officials almost never ever hold the elites accountable. So it's not like, oh, we're gonna just do it on a whim, we're gonna do it on irrelevant stuff. No, think about the underlying reason why they're going in there. Is it just the documents? By the way, we don't know that either. It could be that they were looking for evidence on January 6th, and one of the key pieces of evidence is the warrant itself. Now, here's the interesting part. The government says until our investigation is over, we're not gonna show you the warrant and why we actually went in there, because we're doing an investigation. Now, Donald Trump says this is a travesty, it's worse than Watergate. All of his acolytes and supporters on the internet are saying, oh, the FBI is trying to assassinate him, like lunatic stuff, right? But Donald Trump has the warrant.
And don't worry.
Hold on. Yeah. He could just show it right now, and then we'll know what it was about.
Good point.
If it turns out that it's nothing and they were looking for the risotto recipe, it'll be in the warrant. And then he could humiliate the FBI and the right wing will celebrate. Why isn't Trump showing the warrant? Oh, maybe because maybe the warrant is about super serious crimes and he's embarrassed and wants to hide that. Show the goddamn warrant.
The long form version of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, why won't he show it?
But you're right. I mean, look, for me, I have no loyalty to any political official from any political group, okay? So if you had former President Barack Obama taking boxes of classified documents home with him, then he should be investigated. But that is not what happened. That's what Donald Trump did. And there was evidence in the form of testimony, in the form of pictures that we just recently saw from Maggie Haberman, indicating that Trump likes to destroy documents. He likes to flush them down the toilet, which, by the way, it really does put new meaning behind his complaints about toilets not flushing appropriately in the White House. Just saying.
I call that from day one.
Right?
You heard it on the air. I said, why is he randomly talking about toilets flushing in the White House in the middle of a press conference having nothing to do with that? Because the idiot's been trying to destroy evidence the entire time. Guys, look, I don't understand the right wing at all. Like I know mainstream media does the same thing. They pick a side and then they're completely blind to their own side. So if you said to me, hey, Bernie's president, and he's randomly ripping up national archives and is stuffing them in the toilet and flushing it, I'd be like, whoa, what the hell's Bernie hiding? Jesus Christ, that sounds like what somebody who's guilty would do. And I'd be really worried about what Bernie did. The right wing looks at it, goes, oh, you should. You gotta rip up the classified documents, and you gotta and if they're really incriminating, but they're not, they're perfectly innocent, then you flush them down the toilet. Of course you do. And the right wing media, you turn to Hillary Clinton, and they're like, well, the emails, well, to be fair, they hit her a lot on the emails, but if they had raided Hillary Clinton's home, would the mainstream media be outraged? My guess is they would have been fuming, right? Because they're all blinded to their own side. I don't care, like the right wing's like, oh yeah. Would you want Hillary Clinton's emails? Since she deleted emails for the FBI to do a raid and try to get those emails? Yeah, I would.
Yeah, do the raid. I don't care.
Yeah, why not? Why are the elites above the law?
Loyalty to people in positions of power like this, like that. Look, take a step back for a second because this is. I want to make a broader point. What's troubling to me about the reaction that we're seeing by ordinary right-wing voters is that they are willingly providing cover for the potential criminality of powerful people. And they see everything through the lens of left versus right. Okay, the right needs to own the libs. Own the libs, I don't care. But what you're doing is, again, providing cover for people in positions of power and their potential criminality. So to me, the important thing is it's not just about Trump. It's about actually pushing for a system that fairly and accurately targets individuals with probable cause in mind, of course, who have potentially committed crimes. That includes individuals in the executive branch who have committed war crimes, for instance. And I think it should extend to people in the financial sector who are incredibly powerful. So if they trigger an economic collapse through their greed and their fraud, they should suffer consequences. The idea that we should provide cover or protection for a powerful member of the executive branch or someone in politics just because we happen to agree with them, generally speaking, policy-wise, whatever it is that they like about Trump, it's just wrong, right? Because you have to have a justice system that treats everyone equally, okay? For the longest time, and still today, we still have this justice system that targets the powerless and allows the elite to get by with any type of criminal act they want to commit, and it's unacceptable.
Let alone every bribe that every politician takes. 7 Democratic senators just totally, utterly sold you out by creating a $35 billion loophole for Wall Street because they got paid $1.4 million. And the right wing's like, oh, you want that investigated? Goddamn right I do. And mainstream media goes, don't. Those are beloved Democratic senators. They're wonderful people. Those are not bribes. Those are just contributions out of the goodness of the private equity bankers' hearts. So yeah, both are nuts. Mainstream media defending Democrats and elites overall are nuts. They live in an alternate reality where criminality is totally acceptable as long as someone in the establishment does it. And the right wing guys, you guys are, how many crimes does Trump have to commit before you go, hey, maybe I don't want a criminal as my leader? But they're like, the FBI raided his home. Oh, I love him more. Warrants don't get put out unless a judge okays it. A warrant against a former president has got to be a very serious issue for the FBI to pursue it and for the judge to say okay to it. I know you live in an alternate reality. They're there, Newt Gingrich said today, they're there to plant the evidence.
Oh, come on.
Woo! You guys are lunatics. You've lost your goddamn minds. Honestly, we're the only ones telling the truth. Mainstream media and right-wing media, they've picked their sides and they tell ridiculous stories to protect their own elites.
Well, let's get to the reaction that we've seen, and there's been a lot of reaction from right-wing members of the media, Republican lawmakers, and the like. So let's discuss. After news broke that Trump's Mar-a-Lago residence had been raided by the FBI over the fact that he had taken home classified documents from the White House, which breaks certain laws, a bunch of right-wingers, including members of the press, members of Congress, came out and started demanding all sorts of things, specific actions like civil war in some cases and defunding the intelligence community in other cases. So first, the right wing tried to appeal to voters with some concerns about what this will mean for average Americans, right? Oh, if they could do this to Trump, imagine what they can do to you. You know, like indiscriminately spy on you with a government agency like the NSA. Wouldn't that be so terrible? I mean, it's a joke, as we know. Ordinary Americans are surveilled, or ordinary Americans have to deal with a police state, and that's just been our reality for the longest time. And there's been a 2-tier justice system where the elite, the powerful, get to commit crimes with absolutely no consequences and no real investigation. Now, I want to read a few quotes for you from various right-wing posters online because they are calling for a civil war. One person says, "This is how you light the match to a civil war." One user on Twitter wrote in response to the news, similar rhetoric was shared in right-wing channels on Telegram. Civil war is coming to America. There won't be any more elections, one member said. But they go further. A total war on dissidents is about to unfold, not behind closed doors, but blatantly in public. Another member wrote in a different far-right channel. Attacks on Alex Jones, Trump, and Patriot Day defenders are only setting the precedent for the future of us as the only opposition to the deep state. And the top comment on the main thread about the raid on Tuesday morning was lock and load. Again, that was the top post, lock and load. In the same thread, another user wrote, "It certainly feels like they're treating it as a hot civil war. When this is all said and done, the people responsible for these tyrannical actions need to be hanged," the poster wrote. And QAnon, they're having a little difficulty figuring out where they stand on this. They're against the raid, but the raid might actually be intentionally done by the right wing, and it could be a good thing. So the QAnon channels, there were some conflicting responses with some conspiracy believers calling for armed responses, and others suggesting the FBI was all part of the plan. A prominent QAnon influencer known as QAnon John is urging followers not to call for civil war, as this, the influencer said, is what the deep state wants them to do.
Aha. Is it the cup in front of you? Okay, so look, guys, there's two elements here. One is the lunacy, of course, and this is not just rando posters. There's right-wing media, is dozens and dozens of comments from all the hosts calling for violence and hyperbolic, ridiculous statements like Mark Levine saying, "This is the worst attack on this republic in modern history." Okay, note that no one knows what's in the warrant. Note Trump has the warrant, could tell us what's in it, but is choosing not to, okay? But how would any of you know why they raided the compound, his residence at Mar-a-Lago, and what they were looking for, and whether he's guilty or innocent? So if they raided, again, I'll use someone on my side. If they raided Bernie's offices, I wouldn't be like, he is definitely innocent. How do I know? I don't know what's in the warrant. I don't know what they're looking for. I'd be like, whoa, that's weird. I didn't expect that. I can't wait to see what it's about. But the right wing, no, immediately, conspiracies. And the second component, and this is the dangerous part, violent conspiracies. And it's time for lock and load, it's time for civil war, all these things. And by the way, it's just accepted as normal. If left wingers did that, I'm not at all exaggerating, they would be investigated, they would be deplatformed for sure, calling for violence, and they would likely be arrested. The right wing says it like on a nuclear level. Thousands and thousands of them. Nobody ever does anything about it. They're like, oh yeah, they're looking to murder us. Oh, duly noted, let's move on.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, has there been some political issue where the right wing hasn't said that they want civil war? That is what they've been saying for several years now, over and over again. They say it openly, transparently. It's just abundantly clear that they're waiting for anything to spark political violence. And they've carried out political violence. We've seen so many examples of it already when it comes to lone mass shooters who are motivated by crazy right-wing conspiracy theories like white replacement theory, or people who are motivated by their own hatred for people of color, whether it's Dylan Roof or the mass shooter in El Paso, Texas, who hates immigrants. I mean, the list goes on and on. They've already carried out their domestic political terrorism in this country, and they just keep telling us that they're gonna do more of it. So yeah, it's right there, it's right in front of us. But moving on, I also want to talk about some of the other threats that we've seen from right-wingers, namely from individuals like Steven Crowder. This is very scary. Let's watch.
Any Republican right now in office or running for office who does not actively champion the defunding, the dismantling of our intelligence agencies, I will not vote for. Don't care who it is. Are you listening, Ted Cruz? Are you listening, DeSantis? Are you listening, Rubio? Are you listening, no?
Scary. Very, very scary from Steven Crowder. So he's calling for defunding the FBI. He's not the only one. You also have people like Marjorie Greene saying defund the FBI. Candace Owens, the FBI must be legally and formally dissolved. What happened to President Trump is positively stunning and a mark of unchecked government power. It would be unchecked if this was some sort of warrantless raid, but it was signed by a federal judge. And in order to be signed by a federal judge, you need to prove that there is probable cause of a crime committed. So unchecked is strong language, or I think better put, inaccurate language in this tweet. I no longer recognize the country I live in, left or right. We must all come together to fight this evil. And you also have Marco Rubio, who says using government power to persecute political opponents is something we have seen many times from third world Marxist dictatorships, but never before in America. Marco Rubio letting the American people know that he is unaware of this nation's history. Just to give you two quick examples, I mean, there's COINTELPRO in the 1970s, where the FBI ran a program actually from 1956 to 1971 that consisted of covert and illegal operations by the FBI aimed at surveilling, infiltrating, discrediting, and disrupting political organizations in America. They went after the Communist Party of America, feminist organizations, civil rights groups, the Black Power movement, environmentalist, animal rights groups, and the American Indian movement. So it seems like, yeah, there is precedent in this nation's history for that type of, political persecution.
Yeah. So it's funny that you've got centuries of police abusing African Americans, and then a movement rises out of that I think is bad framing, but they say defund the police, okay? And the right wing goes, no, Blue Lives Matter, okay? We don't care how many innocent black men who are unarmed were shot by cops, killed by cops. We don't care how much abuse has happened. We don't care about any of it. Support the police. And then the police raid their beloved, dear leaders' home to look for criminality based on a legal warrant. They're like, that's it, defund the police, defund the FBI, defund all law enforcement. What happened? No, oh, I get it. You didn't want rule of law. You just thought the police are your thugs, your security guards. And you just wanted them to oppress others. And the minute they actually enforce the law evenly, you hate them. Like, well, I didn't sign up for this. The cops are supposed to be my thugs. They're not supposed to give equality and justice and just apply the law. And it's so obvious. And they're all like, oh, I got this theory, I got that theory, and we're gonna come after you guys. You don't even know what's in the warrant. How are you so incredibly sure that this was a political hit job? You haven't seen one piece of evidence yet.
Because it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter to them. It doesn't matter.
Support Trump no matter what.
Look, honestly, I'm tired of saying it. The right wing, they're all liars. They all lie 100% on purpose. So who's the head of the FBI? Do you want to know who it is? Chris Wray. Now, do you want to know who appointed Chris Wray? Donald Trump.
You want to know who confirmed Chris Wray? Every single Republican senator who voted. Every single one who voted. There were 3 Republican senators who didn't vote for whatever reason, but all of the other Republican senators who did voted to confirm him as FBI director.
Every right-wing host is lying to their audience today and saying, Joe Biden's FBI is targeting our beloved Donald Trump for no reason at all. What do you mean Biden's FBI? Trump appointed the guy. He's a right-winger that Trump appointed. But evidence doesn't matter, facts don't matter to these guys. So,
can I just jump in one more thing? Chris Wray literally just testified about the sham investigation he conducted into Brett Kavanaugh and the sexual misconduct allegations against him, completely taking orders from Donald Trump in regard to how that investigation was conducted. So, I mean, really, this is an FBI that's politically motivated against Donald Trump?
I mean, they've literally admitted that they rigged an investigation on behalf of Donald Trump.
Yes.
But no, did anyone in right-wing media hear that? The listeners? No, because they're lied to professionally every single day. So instead what they heard was Steve Bannon saying, we're at war. He went on to say, without evidence of course, that Biden's chief of staff Ron Klain approved the raid. Just made that up, just made it up. Who cares? We're just making stuff up. Because you know why Steve Bannon doesn't, Steve Bannon then went on to say that the FBI might be trying to assassinate Donald Trump. Hoo-hoo, right? But do you think Steve Bannon's that crazy? No, Steve Bannon is relatively smart, especially for a right winger. I mean, I know it's a low bar, right? But he's purposely lying to his audience to get them riled up so that they'll commit violence against you. He doesn't think they're gonna try to assassinate Donald Trump. He knows that's a lunatic conspiracy theory. He's just putting it out there so he'll rile. He knows how stupid, deranged, and violent his audience is. So he just has to get him going. He said the FBI is the Gestapo. He said, quote, we need to choke down the FBI and choke down the Justice Department. Those are his words. Bernie Kerik, another one of Rudy Giuliani's goons who went to prison for being a crook and a criminal and corrupt. He's out there going, oh no, it's an assassination plot.
Can I actually go to the last video in this segment, the one with Mitch McConnell? Because Mitch McConnell is the only Republican who has had a unique response to this news of a raid in Mar-a-Lago that I was amused by. So let's take a quick look at that.
What is your reaction to the FBI raid yesterday at Mar-a-Lago?
I'm here today to talk about the flood and the recovery from the flood.
That was fascinating. Just slap down that question. He's like, I'm not gonna weigh in on this.
Look, if I was him, I'd do the same thing because you don't know what's in the warrant.
Yeah.
You don't even know. We don't know one single thing. By the way, if you're a Democrat or progressive or you're on the left and you're like, oh, we got him.
No, we don't know. I mean,
how would you know that? Like, raiding a former president's house is very serious, so you can assume that it's about a very serious matter and it's unprecedented. But you don't know if they even found the evidence they were looking for, right? So just jumping to these conclusions as usual is crazy. But I want to, speaking of crazy, last thing, I want to read you Steven Crowder's other comments because this is important because it portends what is going to happen if they regain office. He said, if a Republican gets in, investigate everybody, raid everybody, use all of it. I don't care if we become Nicaragua at this point. You've already rung the bell. You can't unring it, Buttercup. Okay, so.
Okay, like, raid everyone, great.
No, but they're gonna do it anyway.
Exactly.
So what they're doing is they're like, I can't believe you're holding one of our elites accountable and you believe in the rule of law. So if we get in office, we're gonna destroy the rule of law and we're gonna investigate you guys. And I'm telling you ahead of time, based on nothing, we're gonna make it up. Okay. And we don't care if we're in Nicaragua.
But you can't do a raid just because you want to retaliate as a result of Trump being raided. A federal judge has to sign off on that raid.
Unless they
have a bunch of their own.
You become the Gestapo.
Yeah.
So they're like, can you believe they're doing it the right and proper and legal way? When we get in office, we're gonna be the Gestapo. I mean, they're the Gestapo. Wink, wink, wink. Now, guys, if they get back into office, they're gonna indiscriminately raid and arrest their political opponents. It's not at all hyperbole. They're telling you ahead of time. They're telling you today, turn in any right-wing media. We have dozens of these quotes. We would take up the whole show. Turn into any one of them and you'll hear them say, it's time for war, violence. And once we get in office, that's it, they're screwed. We're gonna dismantle every part of government. We're gonna arrest these FBI agents. We're gonna arrest everyone and just put in our own thugs and scam artists. So, good luck to us. By the way, after all this, currently Trump leads in the presidential race. Wish us luck.
All right, we're gonna take a quick break. When we come back, let's lighten things up by sharing a video of Charlie Kirk getting slapped down. One of my favorite types of topics to discuss on this show. Come right back.
Sexual anarchy.
All right, back on TYT. Cenk, Anna, Firefly 75. They hit the join button below, so easy. You become part of the truth-making factory here. Only one in media doing it, Casper.
Let's get to our next story. Charlie Kirk, who is a Trump loyalist, of course, was furious that the FBI had raided Trump's home in Mar-a-Lago, and so he tweeted the following: "How many of the perverts whose names are written in Jeffrey Epstein's black book have had their homes raided by the FBI since the Ghislaine Maxwell trial concluded?" Well, Charlie, I'm glad you asked. So far, before the raid into Trump's Mar-a-Lago residence, none of those people had been raided. After Trump's raid, one of those individuals was raided. As of today, at least one. It was what Brendan Carrot wrote, and he included all these photos of Donald Trump with his buddy Jeffrey Epstein. And remember, not too long ago, Trump was specifically asked about Ghislaine Maxwell. This was before the conclusion of the trial she was facing for her part in grooming underage girls to be abused by Jeffrey Epstein. And here's how Trump reacted to news of that trial.
Ghislaine Maxwell is in prison, and a lot of people want to know if she's going to turn in powerful people. And I know you've talked in the past about Prince Andrew, and you've criticized Bill Clinton's behavior. I'm wondering, do you feel that she's going to turn in powerful men? How do you see that working out?
I don't know. I haven't really been following it too much. I just wish her well, frankly. I've met her numerous times over the years, especially since I lived in Palm Beach, and I guess they lived in Palm Beach, but I wish her well.
I wish her well, Trump said at the time. So
literally the biggest groomer in American history, and Republicans look at that and go, "Oh yeah, he's the one protecting us." I'm gonna give this quote every time. Here's what Donald Trump said about Jeffrey Epstein. "I've known Jeff for 15 years. Terrific guy.
Terrific.
He's a lot of fun to be with. It's even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side."
I bet they are, Trump. I bet they
he
are.
knew. Trump knew all along. So Charlie, don't worry, we got one of them. Okay, many others to go. And by the way, as we've said 1,000 times, we're not with mainstream media. So like the mainstream media would be like, "Oh my God, if they raided Bill Clinton, that would be outrageous." Okay, but Donald Trump, that makes sense. No, I don't. If there had evidence related to Epstein about Bill Clinton or Donald Trump, go get them.
Raids for everybody.
Yes, yes. Why? Why are we protecting these people?
Listen. There's nothing more liberating than untethering yourself from unwavering loyalty to a specific politician or to a specific political party. Untether yourself, because you start to see the world and this country a lot more clearly, and you stop seeing it as left versus right. Because in reality, it's powerful versus powerless. That is what's really transpiring in this country. And look, to be clear, Charlie Kirk is part of the powerful. Right? Homeboys collecting checks from all of these wealthy billionaires who just fund his programming, fund Turning Point USA. So he has a vested interest in providing cover for the powerful. But for everyone else, don't get it twisted. This is not about left versus right. This is about the powerful constantly providing cover for the criminality of other powerful people.
Yeah, so, and right wingers, you're always talking about freedom. Red pill versus blue pill. Oh, we know, man, we know what's going on. And then Trump is on the record saying, "I know Jeffrey Epstein likes young girls."
Terrific guy.
And he's a terrific guy. Oh, and his groomer buddy was arrested? Oh, I wish her well. I know her really well, I wish her well. And you all go like, no, I don't see it. No, I don't see it.
But what about Hunter Biden?
You should investigate everybody else on Epstein's list, but not our beloved Trump. He clearly knew, but don't investigate our beloved Trump. Why? What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
It's because you're all blinded by partisanship. Anna's 100% right. It isn't about the parties. It isn't about the sides. It's about the powerful versus the powerless.
Well, can we get to the next story or should we take a break? Let's do the next story. Let's take a break, actually.
We changed our mind.
We changed our mind.
Happens.
We're doing it live.
We're doing it live.
So let's take a break.
Let's read them out.
When we come back, we'll talk about the ongoing GOP catfight between unsavory individuals like Matt Gaetz and Marjorie Greene going after other unsavory individuals like House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy. Great story, terrific story. Don't miss it. We'll be right back.
All right, back on TYT, Casper.
Well, there's an ongoing war within the Republican Party that is worth discussing because typically when we talk about political infighting, we talk about the left, we talk about the Democratic Party, but some interesting stuff is bubbling up among Republicans, so let's discuss. During his appearance on Steve Bannon's podcast at CPAC, Matt Gaetz slammed House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy because he's just not loyal enough to Daddy Trump. Let's watch.
Talk to us about a real January 6th, and who's going to set it up? Is McCarthy going to do this? Jim Jordan going to do this? Are we going to have a real January 6th that goes through the whole thing, including adjudicating what happened on 3 November of 2020?
Well, if anyone posits to be the leader of our party and our movement, they cannot stand for the swamp and the establishment and the bureaucratic permanent state. They have to stand with us in exposing these issues. And if Kevin McCarthy will not allow us to be able to find out these answers, he should not be the leader of the Republican conference.
What do you guys think about that? Do we want Jim Jordan?
So promoting Jim Jordan as Speaker of the House, should Republicans take back the House of Representatives, is an interesting choice, especially since he has been accused of providing cover for sexual misconduct at a university, and he would be promoted by someone like Matt Gaetz, who is under DOJ investigation for potentially paying to have sex with a minor. Now, audio was leaked of McCarthy telling House GOP members on January 10th, 2021, that he was going to urge Trump to resign following the Capitol riot. Gaetz at the time slammed the California lawmaker for his comments, and several days later hinted that he would support Jim Jordan for GOP leader over McCarthy. As recently as June, Gaetz was still pushing the idea of Jordan as the leader of the GOP-led Congress. And in April, Fox News host Tucker Carlson called him a puppet of the Democratic Party. Yes, that is exactly right, Tucker. Kevin McCarthy is a puppet of the Democratic Party. Yes, in the weird alternate reality that you live in, Kevin McCarthy is doing favors for Democrats. Anyway, I think it's hilarious because Kevin McCarthy does everything that he can to provide cover for Trump. So yeah, after the Capitol was, dealing with this massive Trump-led riot that focused on attacking members of Congress, Kevin McCarthy was like, oh, maybe we should call on him to step down. But he immediately changed his mind and started providing cover for Trump again. In fact, after Trump's Mar-a-Lago residence was raided by the FBI following a warrant that was signed by a federal judge, McCarthy said that as soon as they gain power of the House, they're going to launch an investigation. Attorney General Merrick Garland, preserve your documents and clear your calendar. I have seen enough. The Department of Justice has reached an intolerable state of weaponized political, basically using this as a political investigation into Trump. When Republicans take back the House, we will conduct immediate oversight of this department, follow the facts, and leave no stone unturned. So he's threatening to investigate Merrick Garland.
Yeah, but not enough.
Not enough, it's never enough.
No amount of ass kissing is enough. No amount of being a radical lunatic is enough. No amount of kneeling and degrading yourself is enough. Because McCarthy, like on the day of January 6th, or as Bannon would call it, 6 January of 2020 or 2021, why does he speak like that? Just small side note. 3 November of 2020, who says that? Anyways, so on that day, Kevin McCarthy was like, hey, could you, Mr. President, could you please not have your followers murder us? They're like, disloyal, we hate him forever, okay? Later, by the way, McCarthy would, right away after that, go back down to Mar-a-Lago and get on his hands and knees in front of Donald Trump.
Yep, that's right.
But no, not enough. I would love it if they pulled his leadership if they win the House. And they were like, oh yeah, we're just messing with you, man. We got you to walk around like a little gimp, okay? And hey, here, fetch little boy, and made you fetch little sausages. And then we gave it to Jim Jordan anyway.
No kink shaming, by the way.
Okay, if you're into it, you're into it, that's fine. But it doesn't look like Kevin McCarthy's into it. But there are literal lunatics in the Republican Party and people are into it.
Just like, at what point do Republicans gain some self-respect?
Never.
Have some damn dignity, man.
No, I'll give Mitch McConnell this. He does a little backpedaling from time to time and it's strategic and you could tell, but he signals it. He's like, I am saying this, but I don't really mean it, right? But overall, he stood way firmer than any of these guys. The Lindsey Grahams, the Ted Cruzes.
I mean, all these Republican lawmakers like walking up with their junk in their hand. They're like, yes, please castrate me, please, Daddy Trump, please embarrass me, please castrate me, I want it so bad. That is what politics has devolved to on the right. It's just sad, it's so sad.
Yeah, I almost wish for them that it was a kink. Like if you tell me it's a kink, I'm like, okay, I get it, God bless, free country, right?
At least we could understand it.
Yeah, but if you think that you're being manly, you're like a right-wing alpha, and the right-wing alpha thing to do is to lick between Donald Trump's toes, you have a different understanding than I do. Okay, and by the way, right-wingers, you want to keep voting for these guys? Half of them are lunatics and half of them are the weakest people you've ever seen in your life.
What are they doing for you? Like, just for a moment, take yourself out of all the manufactured drama that they try to distract you with. What are they doing for you specifically? And I'm not talking about what they say they're gonna do for you. What have they done through policy, through governing, that has actually materially improved your life? Just curious. And if the answer is nothing, you're getting played. Similar to how Democratic voters get played by all these hyped up reports about the Inflation Reduction Act. Like, guys, wakey, do a little reading and try to ask yourselves before you decide to, defend all these politicians to the death, what have they actually done for you? And these Republicans talking about the swamp. You guys are the swamp. Yeah. You can't get enough of the swamp. They swim in the swamp all day, all night. They love the swamp monsters because they fund their campaigns.
Yeah, last thing, Trump says this all the time, and today a lot of people in right-wing media were saying, they say Trump is you. If they're attacking Trump, they're gonna come for you next.
No.
And it's a prelude to coming for you. He's defending you by taking all the blows, otherwise they would be at your doorstep, right? No, Trump isn't you. He inherited $413 million. He's solidly among the elites. He didn't even earn it. He was just handed the money, right? And he gets you to defend him, who's at a minimum multi-millionaire. He claims billionaire. And when in reality, he's never done anything for you. How is he you? He never argued for higher wages, he argued for lower wages.
He's playing golf at Mar-a-Lago while his supporters who stormed the Capitol are sitting in prison. Trump is not you because Trump has been treated as though he is above the law. If an ordinary Republican voter carried out the criminal acts that Trump has carried out, they would be in prison. Many of them from January 6th are in prison, even though Trump himself said that he was gonna march to the Capitol with them. Just, guys, my fellow Americans, I'm just looking out for you. Be smarter, stop getting played. That's it, that's all I wanna say.
Hear.
All right, let's switch gears. Let's do a little bit of foreign policy here because there is some international news that I wanted to discuss, beginning with Israel. Israeli forces killed dozens of Palestinians in their latest attack on the occupied and blockaded Gaza Strip. The Palestinian Ministry of Health said Sunday that so far 44 people, including at least 15 children and 4 women, died during the 66-hour Israeli onslaught, officially called Operation Breaking Dawn, in which militants also reportedly fired at least hundreds of rockets at Israel, resulting in 3 light injuries. So the reason why there were 3 light injuries is because the defense capabilities in Israel are very different from the defense capabilities in the Gaza Strip or the West Bank. They have the protection of the Iron Dome, and so while obviously you don't want to provide excuses or cover for anyone launching rockets into Israel, there is a difference in terms of their military capability and their ability to protect themselves. Now, a 16th child, 10-year-old Hanin Abu Qaida, died Monday of injuries sustained during a Saturday Israeli attack that also killed her mother. The ministry said that 360 other Palestinians were wounded during the attacks, which ended with the 11:30 p.m. truce. So they agreed to stop attacking one another. And luckily, as of today, it doesn't appear that they're still, attacking one another. The Israeli Defense Forces are no longer doing strikes in the Gaza Strip. But as we know from previous reporting, that's temporary. Next month, it'll be another attack on the Gaza Strip. Now, as Palestinians wounded in Israeli airstrikes stream into Gaza's hospitals, the territory's healthcare system, which has deteriorated under a 15-year Israeli blockade, could cease to operate within days due to the closure of its only power plant amid a dwindling supply of fuel. So not only are the defense capabilities different, not only are the military capabilities different, the ability to provide medical care to individuals who are injured as a result of this ongoing war, very different, because they don't have the same resources in the Gaza Strip as a result of this blockade.
Yeah, so almost no one in Israel got injured. On the one hand, both Israel and America are bragging about Iron Dome that it intercepted 380 rockets. That's great. I'm glad that it did, and we're right to brag about that. They then turn around and go, oh, we had to kill all those Palestinians. Well, you just told me that we intercepted almost all the rockets and nobody got injured. I think there was 3 slight injuries in Israel. So why did you have to kill the 66 Palestinians? So 44
human shields.
Yeah, by the way, Israeli Defense Forces use human shields all the time. They will put Palestinian children in front of them and enter a building so they don't get shot. They're disgusting, okay? And then they pretend that, and then they pack everybody into Gaza. They got 2 million people in an open air prison, and they go, well, if I drop a bomb in the middle of your city, it's not my fault, it's your fault for having civilians there.
By the way, let me just jump in for a second, because the US response to Russia using the human shield argument to essentially do airstrikes that kill civilians, they condemn that. They condemn that argument when Russia is using, and they should condemn it when Russia is using it to justify the civilian deaths that happen as a result of their strikes against Ukraine, right?
Yeah.
But how is it that you somehow think it's okay for Israel to use the exact same argument pertaining to Palestinian civilians who die at the hands of these strikes that are done by the Israeli government and the IDF, the Israeli Defense Forces?
But Anna, let's be fair. So Biden did come out with this statement today about the horrific murder of these children, 16 children dead. He said Israel has our, quote, unwavering support.
Yeah, Biden.
So when Russia does it to Ukraine, the whole world has to unite and defeat Russia, and we celebrate the 80,000 dead and wounded Russian soldiers in Ukraine, and I think we should have defended Ukraine. But when Israel does it to the Palestinians, it's what, bravo, unwavering support, yay, bomb them, kill their children. Now you say, wait, Cenk, that's too harsh. Is it? No, killing 16 children is too harsh. Accurately telling you that they killed 16 children on purpose is not too harsh. That's just news reporting. And you say, oh, Cenk, is that really on purpose? I mean, in every conflict in the last 2 decades, Israel has killed 10, depending on the different conflicts, 10 to 100 times the civilian casualties as the Palestinians have. So if Israel's killing 100 civilians for every civilian Palestinians are killing, and we're calling the Palestinians terrorists, what does that make Israel? Cenk, you're not allowed to ask questions like that. Israel is allowed to kill at 100-to-1 ratio. That's fine. Those are actually dead human beings, dead little children buried under the rubble with their heads smashed in, right? That's fine. But me pointing out that Israel does 100 times the terrorism that the Palestinians do is not acceptable. Really? Who made up those rules? So if that's what mainstream media wants to say, they can kiss my ass, because I care a lot more about those dead kids. I care a lot more about imprisoned Palestinians and the fact that they are never freed, that they live under an oppressive, disgusting occupation. I care 1,000 times more about that than Jake Tapper's tears about beloved Israel and how they just had to kill all those people. They had to. You know why? Because the only thing Palestinians understand is violence. But that's not at all racist to say that.
All right, that does it for our first hour. Let's take a break. When we come back, we will do a little more international news, including an update on Ukraine. So stick around, we'll be right back.
Thanks for listening to the full episode of The Young Turks. Support our work, listen ad-free, access members-only bonus content, and more by subscribing to Apple Podcasts at apple.co/TYT. I'm your host, Cenk Uygur, and I'll see you soon.